New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Why, hello there. It's me, yes, me, Bonnie Gonzalez, your doula for grief. I am super excited to be here with you today. This is the first show of 2025. So I brought a toast. Here's toasting 2024, which gave us so many opportunities to grow and stretch and to be, and ushered us right into 2025. So here's to 2025. I've poured a little bit of a libation for our ancestors to welcome them with us, who we stand tall on their shoulders. So I'm going to have a toast to 2025. And the way I want to start today's show, with gratitude. Just the deepest bow of gratitude. Just deep appreciation for New Thought Media Network that makes programs like your Doula for Grief so readily available. Programs that can offer you a deeper insight into yourself, an expansion of consciousness. You don't find that all over the internet these days. So I want to thank New Thought Media for this opportunity. And along with that, Reverend Robert Brzezinski, thanking him for having the vision to bring this program, and not just my program, but to bring his platform to the world. So there's a toast to Reverend Robert Brzezinski and New Thought Media Network. And my next toast is to the rock star of the hour, to the man who has risen to the occasion, Reverend Michael Mangus. A toast to him for stepping in at the last second when it looks like he's going to come on. He's raising he's got coffee. I've got something in my glass. So thank you for being here. Thank you. A deep bow of gratitude to you, Reverend Michael Mangus. And thank you. Also thanking Joe, even though he can't be here. He's right there with me. Without Joe, there would be no me. And today, Reverend Michael Mangus is making me happen, is allowing me to happen. And my final toast and biggest toast goes to the viewers, to you who are out there watching. Deep gratitude and thank you for being here. And if this is your first time, I'm overjoyed. And knowing that you have come to the right place to start your recovery of grief, to be on your journey of grief recovery. And if you are returning, I am so glad we have that kind of friendship. We have that relationship that you trust me to show up week after week. So I want you to give yourself a toast, and I'm toasting you, the viewer, as well. What I want to say is I want you to just sit back right now and make this program for and about you. I want you to grab a cup of coffee, cup of tea. As you can see, Reverend Michael Mangus and I have our libations or our beverages right here. So get what you need, and I want you to get comfortable. Just want you to make this show for and about you. Drop a comment, a question, and even if you're watching it later, after the show has aired, still leave a comment. I get those as well because we cannot heal from our grief in isolation. I think that's a quote from Bell Hooks. We can't heal in isolation. Let's be together. I know for a fact the way that we start our healing journey from grief is, number one, having our grief heard, having someone that listens to us talk about our grief. The other is having our grief validated. To say, yes, I can see how you got there. Yes, I can see how that can cause sadness, disappointment, anger. And then the last is we just need to share our grief. We need to share it. So knowing that those are the three ways that we start to heal our grief is by having it heard, validated, and shared. And knowing that this is a place where that can start to happen. So in my excitement of saying who I am and so excited to have you here today, let me just say a little bit about me, who Bonnie Gonzalez is. So I am Bonnie Gonzalez still, and I am a grief coach. I am a certified grief educator, a registered nurse, a religious science practitioner, and a licensed soul collage facilitator. And I must say, my most I am is to be a human being right here on the planet with you, right smack in the middle of all of this, all of the opportunities that life offers us to enjoy, to reflect, and review. So I'm right here with you in that. And so with that said, I want to, just for a brief minute, I always talk about what loss is and what grief is. And loss is what puts us into grief. We suffer a myriad of losses in our lives. And of course, with death being the biggest loss we'll ever experience. And I say it's the biggest hole that we'll ever have blown through our heart is with the loss of a loved one. But don't forget about divorce, ending of relationships, geographical moves. How about physical changes? Aging is a big loss of our youth, maybe loss of mobility or health issues. Those are all losses. And those are losses that we can't go back to the way things were before. So in turn, that's what puts us into grief. Then we have the emotions that come from that loss. And sadness, it's really sadness. I think people describe their emotions are the most deeply felt is sadness, but there is anger. There's sometimes deep despair that goes along with that. Numbness, confusion, whatever your experience, it is not abnormal. I want you to know that your grief is unique for you. Don't let anybody take that away from you. Don't let anyone say that that's not a truth as to what you're feeling. What you're feeling is true for you. And you need to feel it to heal it. You cannot heal what you cannot feel. So if you're feeling it, know that right now is that time to heal it. So I've said that, and now I want to talk just a few minutes before we get to our theme for today. And my theme for today is grief as a new beginning, and allowing us to push the reset button on our lives. But before I get into that, I want to acknowledge how 2025 came in. I said it came in for me personally with a big bang of grief. I mean, a big bang of grief. And I want to honor that grief and honor those that I've lost as 2025. We're only a few days in. But I want to first start by acknowledging the death of Jimmy Carter. So many of you know, I'm sure most of the audience knows Jimmy Carter, 37th president. And not just that he was such a wonderful president, it's that his life was lived as a humanitarian. That's what I honor about him. He's one of those people that, for me, is a role model of how to be a wonderful humanitarian here on the planet and using his affluence to make changes. And so with honoring Jimmy Carter, I raise this candle to honor his life, his legacy, and what he gave to the world. And as we grieve or mourn the passing of Jimmy Carter, I want to point out that Jimmy Carter's death is one of the categories of grief that's referred to as collective grief. And there are positive aspects about collective grief. Remember when I said that grief needs to be heard, grief needs to be validated, grief needs to be shared? Well, when we're in collective grief, we get the opportunity to do all three. I mean, I was on a bus going to another part of Mexico, and we all stopped to talk about it and share memories of Jimmy Carter's legacy and life. And so that, in a way, can really open the door to start healing from that, to share with other people. And also, with collective grief, we can do things. We can mourn together. Also, we can make contributions to some of the causes that we knew that he stood for. The one that stands out for me is Habitat for Humanity, that he was really big on helping to build houses for people to live in. And you can always make monetary contributions or donations to the causes that Jimmy Carter held high. And then so that was the start of 2025, grieving the loss of Jimmy Carter. And then I have a dear friend, her name is Constance, and she had to put her second cat down after just putting down the first cat a few months before. And this one came just so suddenly. And her kitty's name was Freeway. So here's honoring Freeway and the love that she brought to Constance's life. And with pet loss, the grief that comes into play is something that you may not be familiar with, but it's called disenfranchisement grief. And it is those types of grief that maybe society doesn't allow you to mourn fully or ask about, or it's something that you can't really talk about because it's not readily recognized. But pet loss is becoming a very, very, very much accepted and talked about loss. And then lastly, I would like to devote this show to Jan Higgins. Jan Higgins is my sister Penny's mother-in-law from her late husband. My sister Penny lost her husband, Bill, about 7 years ago. And during that time, Penny and Jan had become close. And then Jan died suddenly and peacefully on January 3rd. So again, this show is dedicated to Jan Higgins. And what I want to say about Jan's death and my sister's relationship with her, that's another area that's referred to as disenfranchisement grief. When we lose, say you had an ex-husband that you were divorced from for many years and they die, people don't really expect you to be very emotional about that. It's just one of those areas that society hasn't really shone a light brightly on that area of loss. So I'm raising this candle to Jimmy Carter, to Freeway, and Jan Higgins, who I'm devoting this show to today. And if there's someone that you want to honor right now, go ahead and speak their name out loud as I hold this candle, and thanking them for the role they played in your life, for the gift of love that has been brought to your life by this person. Maybe this person also helped you see beauty in yourself, or some talent that you had within. Whatever it is, we thank them in this moment. And we release them to the light with love. So thank you. Why don't we just take a deep breath and just remember for just a second. So we will just take a little break and come back, and just thank you so much for watching Your Doula for Grief on New Thought Media Network.
Please help us say thank you to our organizational sponsors, including the Hefferland Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center Ottawa, Om Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. Thank you for being part of the New Thought Media Network. Please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring.
What if the person you think you are is just a fraction of who you truly are? What if years of conditioning and surviving in a challenging world have left you clinging to strategies and beliefs that mask your truest nature? I'm Catherine Duca, psychotherapist and self-esteem coach, and you're listening to Who Do You Think You Are? A show that looks beneath our psychological masks and uncovers our profoundly messy, beautiful, brilliant, tender-hearted essence. Join me as we go in search of the hidden power of our true selves. I'm so glad you're here.
Hello, welcome back. I'm still here, and I hope you've gotten yourself something, some beverage that's comforting you right now, or keeping you warm, or just quenching your thirst. So today's theme, as I said, is grief as a new beginning. allowing us to push the reset button on our lives because we can't go back to the way things were before. There's one thought that I did have when we went to commercial break, talking about those 3 losses: Jimmy Carter, my friend's cat Freeway, and the sister-in-law the mother-in-law of my sister's late husband, Jan, is that what comes up for me when there are losses. And especially Jan, because Jan, I think, could have been a little bit younger than I am, believe it or not. But anyway, it's one of those losses that made me think, wow, what am I doing with my own life? Am I living the life that I really want? Are there goals? Are there hopes and dreams that I still want? Am I moving toward them? I mean, what am I doing to bring that about? I love that expression. If not now, then when? Okay, Bonnie, when are you going to write that book? If not now, then when? When are you going to do that play? And just those are the things I think that comes up for us when we hear about others, the death of someone else. It makes it brings home to me the fact that, yes, I too have an expiration date. Can't run away from that. And this is a perfect time to really share what's in your heart around grief, around life coming to an end. That needing to start to have the dialogue, just starting to shift. I was telling someone we are just really grief illiterate. And death is even more. We're illiterate around that. Around death. I participate in something called a Death Cafe, where you just go to talk about what you feel about death. It's like their tagline is, talking about death won't kill you. And so I always thought that death was the number one topic that we don't discuss. But did you know that's not a truth? The number one topic that we don't discuss is grief. Amazing how that is the number one topic. But look at us. We're breaking that barrier. We're breaking that barrier. We're bringing the elephant in the room. We're allowing everyone to point and see the elephant in the room. And the more we do that, I feel the more that we can heal from the many losses that we've had in our lives. So with grief as being a new beginning, because we can't go back, because we need to push the reset button on our lives, if you think about it, we can push rewind on our lives and review what's happened. We can even push pause to take a break and breathe and let me just take a break. But you know what the button we can't push our lives on is fast forward. We can't push the button to fast forward because that has to be lived. It has to be lived. And that's why I thought it was so important today that we talk about some ways that we can just incorporate in moving forward with our daily lives. But since we can't go fast forward because we don't live our lives in big chunks and days and months, we don't. We live our lives minute by minute by minute. So therefore, it is with these minutes that we're making a difference. It's with the minutes that we're living the life that we want. So I just wanted to say, I feel like I say that a lot. I just wanted to say, but anyway, I feel like what we're doing right now is what makes the difference. Thank you so much, Reverend Michael, for putting that up, sitting with grief. I love that, just love it. I feel that when we can be with our grief, This is when our lives really blossom and open. This is when we can even expand our consciousness, when we can sit with grief and be with it. Knowing that January is really a tough month if you think about it. January comes on the heels of having had all the having the holidays of Thanksgiving, and there was Hanukkah, and there was Christmas, there was Kwanzaa, then there's the big New Year's Eve celebration. It's like, wow, we pack like 10 pounds of living in those 4 weeks between Thanksgiving and the New Year. We pack a lot in. And with all that activity, like I talked about, the show starting, the 3 losses that were right there waiting with 2025, packed on top of all of the other activities that was going on in my life. And I know if it's a truth for me, it's a truth for you as well. So with that said, January really finds us like really needing to push the reset or just pushing the pause button to say, where do I want to go? And this is a time of the year, yes, that people they used to. I'm not hearing it so much now, but determinations, I'll say determinations, not New Year's Eve or New Year's resolutions, but more like determination. Like, I am determined that this is the year I will, paint the house purple because I've always wanted to, or this is the year that I traveled to Bora Bora because it's been on my bucket list for 100 years. So that's kind of an oxymoron. I've been on your bucket list for 100 years. Anyway, yes, that what's on your bucket list. But now is the time. Now is the time that we can be supported in pushing reset, saying what it is that we do want and the steps that we'll take to get there. So I just want to give you just a few tips that only, like I said, we only live in minutes, not in big chunks of time, but just things that you can incorporate minute by minute, day by day. And the first one is that January tends to be, as I said, a month filled with lots of activities that have transpired, and maybe exhaustion is another word that can come to mind. But a lot of people live in climates where there's not a lot of sunlight. So we're getting a little bit deprived, like nature's not always supporting us 100% in maintaining enough sunlight, adequate sunlight for us. And so I want to say that you just get started by just getting out into nature. How many minutes would that take to just be in nature? Maybe 10 minutes. I don't know if you know Angelise Arian, but she's an anthropologist, late Angelise Arian anthropologist. But she was saying that we should sit in nature at least 30 minutes a day. At least 30 minutes a day. It does really make a shift on our pineal gland to be out in the sun. And also, sunlight helps us to have vitamin D, which is essential to our body's well-being. So being out in nature as much as you can, or just sitting outside, if it's just for 10 minutes on a front porch or wherever you can find a place to be outside. Allow nature to work its magic. Nature does have the ability to heal as well. So just sitting outside. And also, if you can't be outside, or that's just not a possibility, you're living in a really cold and dark climate and that's just not a possibility, there's also light therapy lamps that you can invest in. And if you're really one of those people that suffer from seasonal light deprivation, that can be a really wonderful investment. The next thing that you can do is to take care of your basic needs. Yes, it always comes back to self-care. We live in a society, and especially as females and probably males as well, we're socialized to take care of everybody else. And we may hold a place at the bottom of the list. And you may not even be on the list. And if you are, it's usually the bottom of the list. And we think taking care of ourselves, like I said, the massage, which I'll take one if someone's giving one. I have no problem with that. But basic needs, just making sure you get enough sleep. You know, we live in a sleep-deprived culture. Getting enough sleep, getting enough hydration. And this is one that I love when I talk about taking care of yourself. This is one that may get left out. It's like being with people who care about you. Being with people who care about you, who can lift you up, make you feel special. Or if you need a pep talk, they're there. People that care about you. And you can just keep it simple with being with them. It doesn't have to be anything, extraordinary. It could just be being in someone's company who cares about you. And this is something that I think the next one is, this is a new year. And have you thought about a new project, taking on something new? Have you thought about that? For me, I've done drumming classes and this, I can just go on and on with the list of things that I've tried. And I thought, I really need something new this year. So I am going to study astrology on a serious level, on a serious note. And that is giving me a little bit, I'm excited to get started. I do have a track record, I'll be honest, of sometimes not completing everything, but I am definitely going to put forth that effort to really enjoy it. And by my doing this, sometimes starting a new project can be one of the things that sometimes when we're in grief and have been grieving, we need a distraction. And by starting something new, that can be just a way of being a distraction, getting you out of maybe some habit of some ruminating thoughts. You need something to distract you, to really break habits. Once we get into habits, the first way of breaking a habit that maybe not be the best for you is by acknowledging that it's there. Or what is that? The best way to solve a problem is to admit there is a problem. That's it. So just admitting that, yes, I do need to break some ruminating thoughts that I've been having, and find other ways to be distracted away from habits that you want to break, until you can get into some patterns that help you not to ruminate so much. And there's so many things. I'll have to do another show on that, of how to break ruminating thoughts. There's so many tools, and the best tool, the best tool is breathing. And breathing doesn't cost us anything. Just taking deep breaths, just to slow down, breathing in and allowing your exhalation to be longer than your inhalation. And there's other breathing patterns and techniques that we can talk about, but I won't do that today. But just to know that breath work is definitely key. Someone just told me recently, and I hadn't heard this before. He says, if you really want to stop a ruminating pattern or thinking, or stop rumination, hold your breath. That if you're holding your breath, you can't think at the same time. Now, I tried it just for a few seconds. It seemed to work, but I've got a wart in rumination, so I'm going to have to put it to a serious test and see if that's really effective. But that was just interesting. That he was telling me that. And the last one I'm going to just cover is just take a break from the screen. You know, we're on our computers, we're on our phones, we're on our tablets, just taking a break from the screen. And what I wanted to say about that, I'm not saying stop, but people do work. People have reasons to be on their devices. That's just the time that we're living in. But taking a break from the screen and allow that to include social media. So many people, it's really difficult not to fall into comparison when you're on social media a lot. It is just so difficult not to start to a little envy, a little this to come up. So kind of limit that if you can. And I have a friend who takes every Tuesday away from everything. She doesn't return phone calls. She's not on any device, but it's only on Tuesday. And if you know her long enough, you know, oh yeah, it's Tuesday. You can't call her today because or you can send a text, but she won't respond until the following day. So just give yourself a break from that. I know, a break from the screen. I know that people that suffer from, say, insomnia or difficulties with sleeping, there's this whole idea of no screen, like after 8 p.m., nothing, because it really does affect the brain and the serotonin levels there. So if you can just take a break or just reduce the amount of time that you're on your device. And like I said, you have to be aware of a problem to solve a problem. So just, take inventory of how much time you're spending on the screen. And so that's just something. Those are just a few tips to help you kind of push the reset, just resetting, stopping to say, okay, less screen time. I'll get outside in nature a little bit more. I'll be a little distracted by having a new project. So knowing that, and I was going to say, and if you're having a really difficult time with grief, don't be hesitant, don't be shy about reaching out for help. Maybe you need professional help. There's group therapies, there's online therapies, but do reach out for help. And look around and see what friends you have that can support you as well. Wanting you to know that I'm available as well as a grief coach. So just look around, see who's there that can help. Know that this time of grief is allowing you to have a new beginning, that you can start fresh, that you can incorporate things maybe that you had not incorporated before, learn new things, ask for help where maybe you weren't one of those people to ask for help before. But do see grief as the new beginning that it is. Because whatever the loss has been, you can't go back to the way it was before. I want to just maybe end with, on a fun note. Life is to be enjoyed. You know that, right? It is to be enjoyed. And I have this cute card, and I'm going to get it so that you can see it. Oh, maybe right in front of my face. Can you see? It's women with, there you go. It's women with pom-poms. They've got pom-poms, and they're like cheerleader squads, like an old cheerleading squad. And what it's offering you to do is to cheer yourself on. Cheer yourself on. And it's write yourself a cheer and design some moves to go with it. and then try it out. Remember the old cheers, give me a B, give me an O, give me an N, give me an N, give me an I, give me an E. What have you got? Bonnie. So move, yes, make your cheer, move a little bit, have fun. Have fun. That's what I want to offer with this card. And these cards, this card is from a deck. It's called the Grief Deck. Rituals, meditations, and tools for moving through loss. And I've just been enjoying sharing these with you the last few weeks. I'm so sorry they have a background. And the cards are by Adrienne Janek. So thank you, Adrienne. And I just want to thank you for being here with me today. Knowing that grief is not easy, but we can get through it together. We can definitely heal and move through this. And how I want to end today is, I've done this, just think about every week. I want you to do this, and I want you to do it every day. When you wake up, I want you to look yourself in the mirror. Go to the mirror right after we finish. Look yourself in the eye and say, what do I need today? What do I need today? Whatever comes up, honor it, because you are so worthy of healing. So thank you. As I said, I am Bonnie Gonzalez. I am a grief coach, and I am here for you. So with that, just thank you so, so much for watching today. Thank you for watching Your Doula for Grief on New Thought Media Network.